Sure.
All right. Hey, here tonight with Coach Ryan Timmerman, Luther College, having a great season so far. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing real good. Uh, we've had a short conversation just over the phone before doing this, but I thought we'd just dive right in. What do you think about the D3 Nationals actually getting announced? How do you think that's going to help?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I think it's been a couple years in the works here, and it's really good to have. It's just it's special, right? D3 wrestling is very very tough, but it's hard to recruit against some of that D1 D2 stuff when we're in the same region, but we're not following the same guidelines when it comes to recruiting and scholarships and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's well deserved, and I'm excited for it to start.
Yeah, I've said for a long time that the NAIA and NCAA Division III built this sport uh,
Yeah,
from
for
ground
sure.
up, so it's always been the smaller schools that have done it. So I've always thought, well, just take your ball and go home and see what those D2 and D1 schools say about it because there's not enough of them, right now to
Right.
have it.
Absolutely.
Uh, you just brought up a good point. Recruiting and scholarships. There's a lot of misconceptions around D3. How do you handle why don't you just explain to us what the difference is in like D3 and recruiting and what you can do for scholarships?
Sure, absolutely. So Division 3, as most people know, you can't give that athletic scholarship, right? And that kind of, for whatever reason, is a big turnoff for most athletes or student athletes, I should say, right? Division 3 is very much focused on the well-rounded student athlete. Like students come first. We still want to play sports and that kind of thing, right? So, Division 3 has academic scholarships, and most people don't realize that those academic scholarships can be as big, if not bigger, than some of those athletic scholarships at D1 schools, D2 schools, etc. So, an example is Luther College has what we call a merit scholarship, and it's based strictly off of your high school GPA. And if you have a 3.9 or higher in high school, you automatically, no matter what, get that $37,000 scholarship. And that's guaranteed for the 4 years. So even if you decide that wrestling's not for you, or you get hurt, or maybe you just have a bad season, right? And D1 or D2, they can pull those from you. They can change them, they can lower them, whatever it may be. Or if you quit wrestling, they'll just take it away. Whereas in D3, that's guaranteed. Even if you don't wrestle anymore, you're still going to get that scholarship. So we have tiers to our merit scholarships, but almost everybody that comes to Luther gets some form of merit based scholarship to help with that cost.
Yeah, and I believe you were talking about Luther has got some pretty high standards when it comes to academics also,
Yeah,
um, which can make athletic recruiting somewhat harder. But also, if you're going to be a if you're going to be a good college athlete, you better be a good college student because the money's just not there anyway. What are some of those standards that that Luther's looking at?
yeah. So first and foremost, what we say all the time is we're looking for great student athletes, right? Like I said, so you have to be a good student to go here. You just do, and as well as most of the rest of the ARC schools and Division 3 schools across the nation. Like you're just not going to make it if you don't go to class, if you don't study, if you're not putting in the extra work at in your homework. Just like you're not going to make it in the resting room as well, right? So it's a well-rounded student athlete that we're looking for here. We don't have specific, cutoffs for, or we're looking for this ACT score or this um, GPA or things like that. But if you don't have the higher ones, you're not probably not gonna be able to afford a school like this, right? I don't say that in a negative way, but it's just kind of the truth. So like I said, those tiered merit scholarships go everywhere from like 3.0 up to 4.0, and they go everywhere from $30,000 up to $37,000, which helps pay for that tuition and room and board and those kind of things.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, I one of the things that I didn't understand about D3 athletics and stuff. I was, I'm in just a half hour away from BV, so I'm up there quite a bit. Is that what you had said? Your scholarship is not going to get pulled based on this. So you are there as or a student first, athlete second, which I think most parents should really appreciate that. I think that's such a super important thing. Um,
100%.
what brought you to Luther?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually up in Minnesota. I'm born and raised in Minnesota, so I lived by the Mankato area in St. Peter for a long time and wrestled there. Went away to college, came back and started coaching there. So I was coaching there for the last 12 years, and I was kind of, messing around with the idea here and there. I'd apply for a college job here and there, and I'd go through the application process, the interview process. I would be really close, but never really get the job. And I kind of got to the point where like that's okay. It's not in the cards, right? And then one day, my wife came in and said, "You see that Luther was looking for a head women's coach." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting. That's kind of cool." And I've been coaching women for the last 4 years or so at St. Peter. Um, I'm like, well, she's like, you should apply. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm kind of over that part in my life, right? She's like, no, well, just try it. You'll see what happens. Long story short, I interviewed with Coach Mitchell. He was out at D1 NCAA last year. Actually, we did a Zoom interview. And it went really well. I came down, I did an in-person interview, and one thing led to the other, and it literally was like the dream job. It was a job I didn't know I was looking for, but when I came here, all the people are just incredible. The campus is absolutely gorgeous if you've never been here. The city of Decorah is ultra supportive about not only Luther, but Luther wrestling especially. So right after I got the job, actually, we went downtown Decorah and we were just walking down the sidewalk down in their downtown down there. And some lady stopped me and said, "Oh, you're the new women's wrestling coach." And it wasn't I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was the same day I got hired. So like the news wasn't out yet. But it's
Yeah,
just really, really cool. They love wrestling. The area is perfect and it's a great place to bring my family.
very nice. And the hunting's good, right?
The hunting's fantastic. Yeah, it's awesome. So much
We had
public land and big deer everywhere. But don't tell
that's kind
anyone
of
that.
a that's kind of an insider joke. Someone watching this will probably get that. So, but excuse me. So what are the facilities? You said you're building new wrestling facilities, and so it's kind of hard for people to see the vision when they come. But what's the wrestling gonna look like at
Yeah,
Luther?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, when I came down for the interview, the in-person interview, they walked me through the wrestling room, and it was a typical old school wrestling room. It was in the middle of the building, no windows, hot in there. The wrestling room smell. It was maybe a mat and a half, two mats in size. It wasn't huge, right? And then I came down the next week for my second interview and to meet some more people and go through that process. And I'm not even kidding you, the whole wrestling room was gutted. It was gone. The mats were gone. The wall pads were gone. They had ripped up some of the floor. I'm like, what is going on? Right? They had talked about a new room, but I didn't realize it was happening like that. So that's actually our offices now. All the athletic staff moved into the wrestling room, and that's the new offices that we've built. But our new wrestling room should be done here early March, they're hoping, so right
Okay.
for the end of the season, just in time
Hmm.
for summer camps. But it is 10,000 square feet. So it's 100 feet long, 100 feet wide. Four full sized one piece mats are going down in there. And then we have a big cardio area in there with some bikes, a treadmill, some squat racks, a couple other free weights, things like that. It's kind of up on this platform. Not really a stage, but a platform just above the mats. And then off to the side of that, we actually have our own wrestling lounge that's going to have running water, a fridge, couches, TVs, you name it, all sorts of really nice things going in there. So, pretty excited. It also has this giant, I don't even know how big it is, probably 50 feet wide by 50 feet high, um, huge panoramic window on the west side that points right out to the bluffs and the river that runs through Decorah. It's going to be new to me because I'm not used to wrestling rooms with windows in them. It's going to be pretty nice.
Yeah, usually you're stuck in a dungeon somewhere, so that'll be
That's right.
nice. A nice view while we're practicing. That'll be all right.
Yeah.
So, if I brought a young lady up for a recruiting visit, what are some of the things that we're going to point out about Luther that makes it unique or special?
Yeah, well, I think it's really a close knit tight community, and I've said that a few times on this podcast already. But like, you really feel at home. You feel welcomed. You feel like people care about you. You feel like people actually want to know you. If you go to a bigger school, sometimes you're just a face in the crowd, or you might not even ever know or talk to your professor in person. That's not the case here at Luther. You know everyone. You have small classes. The professor knows you by name. You can stop in and talk to them whenever. You'll see them in the grocery store, all sorts of things like that. So it's a really close knit community. And like I said earlier, too, this community loves wrestling. They eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling around here, both on the Luther campus and in the city of the town of Decorah, excuse me.
Yeah.
You know, the boys team is really, really good. I think they're ranked number one right now at this time. The girls team won state a couple years ago. So like this community is just diehard wrestling and it's awesome. It's really, really awesome.
Yeah, no, that is, yeah, they definitely have some good girls wrestling in that area. I don't even follow the boys anymore, so I couldn't even tell you who's ranked number one. But yeah, the girls wrestling in Decorah has been in, from the beginning has been very strong. A lot of good athletes coming out of there.
Absolutely.
Um, so when we're talking about girls wrestling, obviously it's new. We have such a disparity in abilities, and people have maybe only been out a year or two. Uh, but what are you looking for in athletes? Are you uh, It's a new program, right?
Yep.
Are you good with somebody that hasn't wrestled much freestyle?
Yeah, I absolutely am actually. I'm looking for athletes that want to learn and want to get better and want to be great students, great athletes, and most importantly, great people, right? So, yeah, I'll take a lot of the girls on our team right now. Actually, are pretty green with freestyle. Um, we have 7 girls on the team this year, and I bet 4 or 5 of them have never wrestled freestyle before. So
Mhm.
most of them, a majority, which to me is okay. I don't have to break any bad habits. I don't have to retrain them. Right, we're coming in green and fresh, and I was kind of excited about it. And they've done a really good job transitioning. Um, there's still some for the girls that haven't wrestled freestyle before. There's some habits that we need to break. Like at one of the first tournaments when the girls rolled through a headlock, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, it's okay. We're not mad about it, but let's change that a little bit, right? So, it's been a process, but I really really enjoy it. Like you said, like I'm looking for just good athletes, and that doesn't necessarily always mean just good wrestlers. Of course, we want the best wrestlers here, but I think looking outside the box a little bit has been really helpful in my recruiting process and looking for good athletes. Back in Minnesota, there was a story of a girl that she from Chatfield, if you know Chatfield, and she had never wrestled before, but her older brother was a pretty good wrestler. Well, they convinced her to wrestle, I believe it was her junior year. Had never stepped foot on the mat before, and she won state. She was a
Wow.
dancer, so great hips, great balance, and she ended up winning state. So looking for those good athletes and kind of looking outside the box a little bit has been pretty helpful in that recruiting process.
Yeah, I for one also have had a lot of success with juniors coming in, basketball players or maybe dance gymnastics people when they don't necessarily have to be great wrestlers to learn the sport quickly.
Right.
There's always those situations that happen that experience matters, but boy,
Oh yeah.
girls pick things up quick
And they
and
want to
stuff.
learn. That's what I've learned.
Yeah,
Between the boys and the girls is the girls want to be there and they want to learn and they ask the questions. Why put your hand here? Why are we doing this? The boys know it all already and they don't listen
yeah.
anyways.
Or and they think they know it all at least. I don't know
That's
how many times
exactly, yeah.
I don't know how many times in a practice with the guys when I used to coach the boys and be like, I would hear, well, yeah, I know. Well, I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
be telling you for the 12th time if you actually knew this. So,
Yep.
but the girls, you're
100%.
right. They ask the questions. They want to know the reasons why, and then they do it. It's really cool.
Yep.
Building a team early years. I've been around a couple programs now, and it's not the easiest thing because you don't have leadership developed yet. I mean, not that the girls don't have leadership skills, but they don't necessarily know your culture. What are you looking for in building the culture at Luther?
Yeah, yeah. So I talk about 3 things, and I did this since day one. But our faith, family, and fight are kind of our mantra, and that's it's kind of I thought it was kind of unique, but I think I saw it on William Penn's thing the other day too. So maybe maybe it's not so unique, but I didn't steal it. But when I talk about faith, like yes, I'm Christian and all that kind of stuff too. But when I talk about faith in the wrestling aspect, right, we have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe in our teammates. We have to believe in what the coaches or the professors are telling us and teaching us. Right, that's really important to me. Is you got to follow and you got to believe a little bit, and again, believe in yourself. Right, if you're telling yourself you can't do it, well, there's not a whole lot of coaches going to do to help you out to
Yeah.
get better. Right. Family, we want to build each other up. We want to be supportive for each other. We want to be there for each other all the time. But at the same time, we really need to hold each other accountable in all of our aspects of life. Uh, in the practice room, are you working hard? Are you putting the reps in? Coach told you to do 5. Are you doing 5 single legs, or do maybe just do 4 this time? And then, having girls that, in a respectful way, are calling each other out and holding each other accountable in the classroom and life as well. And then fight, obviously, I want the girls that are seeking out the toughest battles they can. Again, are they picking the toughest practice partner? Are they picking the toughest classes because they want to put themselves in the biggest challenges they can and that kind of stuff? And are they looking for a battle, or are they going to back down? So those 3 things are really important to me. And then on top of that, I talk a lot about controlling the controllables. Back in St. Peter, we were really close to MSU Mankato, and they would send in their sports psychology grad students all the time to our practices, and we got to use them and talk with them quite a bit. And they talked a lot about controlling the controllables, right? What can you control and what's beyond your control? You can't change the referee's call, but you can change your style of the match or change what you're doing so it doesn't come down to the referee, things like that. So we talk a lot in our practice about our attitudes, our preparation, and our effort in everything that we do.
Very good. Yeah, that's some great stuff. How have with having seven athletes this year, first year, correct?
Yep. Correct.
So how have they responded to all that, and how are they doing this year?
Yeah, I think overall they've done really, really well. They're a great group of girls. I do wish they would talk a little bit more. I had the strength and conditioning coach in probably about a month ago. She texted me, said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" I was like, "Oh boy, what happened? What did my girls do?" And she came in and she's like, "Do they not like me?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "They don't ever talk. They just do their lifts and then finish and leave." And I'm like, "No, that's about what they do at practice too." So they are pretty quiet. I wouldn't mind a little bit more of some vocal leadership at times, but they are a really, really great group of girls. Again, not only on the mat, but in the classroom and just in life as well. So um, we're looking for, hopefully, ideally, we would double the numbers again next year up to 14, which would be pretty good for a second year program.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been great so far. It's a grind, like you said. You've been part of the building, and it can be tough and it can be tricky, and there's so much that goes into it behind the scenes that I don't think people realize with the new program that it's a lot of late nights and long hours for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if people really understand. I think Iowa we're so used to having wrestling availability, and maybe are oversaturated on the women's side even.
Sure.
There's just every division, we have, is it five or six JUCOs that have wrestling? Most states don't have five or six programs. We have five or
Right.
six JUCOs, and then we have some of the best NAIA schools in the state, right there. Then the D3, there's so many of the art conference, which I know Decorah is getting out of it, but you guys will still wrestle basically the same schedule.
Yeah.
Um, and then you got D2 and D1. We have every division represented in Iowa, 22 or 23 schools, and I believe that's the largest of any
It's
state.
it's got to be. Being from Minnesota, we have two, I believe, right now that actually
Yeah,
have any women in the program. Augsburg, and then I believe Itasca might have a couple girls left still, but there's not a lot of availability up there. So it's
yeah.
yeah, coming down here, it opened my eyes for sure, just how many programs we have, which makes it quite a bit tougher to recruit than I think I thought in the first place. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a challenging recruit, but it's pretty crazy that we have this much women's wrestling. I'm really
Awesome.
proud that to be part of all of this state of Iowa wrestling, and it's that I think we lead the country in women's wrestling in almost all categories.
Have to. Yeah, I'm sure you
Are
do. Have to.
we're only behind, I believe, Texas, California, and Oregon, which are very large states in population of high school wrestling. I think we're
Right.
fourth in population of high school, and then we have probably the most college wrestlers and the best, I think, in every division. I think we're probably the best in
Yeah.
every division,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
amazing how good that is. But I know, and this is just for you and for being around. I've only talked to you a few times, but I know you're doing things right. It gets better. And you got great girls now, but they'll become your leaders in a couple of years and be able to, do that. I know that like Coach Crinzy and Coach Vias, they struggled that first year finding those people, and then once those people come back and they're able to say, "Here, these are the rules and the culture," that just it changes everything. It
Yeah,
just
I have
does.
all the faith in the world of our with our girls here right now of creating that right culture and bringing in the right girls afterwards and setting that tone for sure.
Yeah, so no, you're doing a really really good things. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So, what would your vision of the Luther Women's Program be? Let's say in 5 years.
Yeah, so ideally I think we'd be somewhere between 25 to 30 girls would be a great number. We built new locker rooms with our renovations here too. And I think we have 27 lockers. So it'd be a good problem to have to find somewhere else to go, but I think ideally mid 20s, mid upper 20s would be a good number to be at. 2 to 3 deep at every weight would be awesome. And I know it never works out that way, no matter even if you
Yeah.
recruit at those weights, they get bigger, they get stronger, they whatever, all sorts of things change. But 2 to 3 deep at each weight would be a dream, I think, for any coach. And then just having that great culture where we are, known around campus and known around town as good people. I think a shout out to Coach Dave Mitchell, who's been here at Luther for 31 years now at the men's program. Like he does a phenomenal job with his men. And everyone knows their team. Everyone knows if you're a wrestler or not. And it's not because of the negative things that you hear. It's they're doing great things outside of the classroom, or excuse me, in the classroom and outside in the community. And they're always kind of just known around town as good people. So we have that to build off of and look forward to as well. So that's definitely helpful. And then obviously we want to be as competitive as we can, right? We want to win. That's really important to us. We got a new AD here that has kind of lit the fire under all the coaches and things like that, and she wants to win. Right now, we have to win the right way. We have to do the right things. We have to still do well in class and great in the
Yep.
community and that kind of stuff too. But we really truly do want to win. So that's always a goal of ours as well.
Very good. Well, kind of talking on that same thing, good people doing well. Wrestling, I very have not made much money wrestling, you know, and most and probably 99.9% of the people that wrestle don't make a lot of money wrestling. It's not a professional thing, but we as coaches can give our athletes stuff. What are some of the takeaways you want the Luther women's program to give to your athletes as they go forward?
Yeah, I think I just want to be able to take any challenge that they meet head on, right? And I want them to have the skills and the confidence in themselves to be able to handle those battles and be able to pull themselves up by the bootstraps or things like that, and really just take battles head on and know that through the struggles here at Luther, both fighting through classes and academically and studying for finals and all that kind of stuff, as well as putting in hard practices and managing your weight and everything else that goes into wrestling. Like those have taught me really important life lessons, and I hope I can teach those to our girls as well, that they can just take any battle that they meet and take it head on for sure.
Yeah, I like to go back and tell people what they've done for me. And so I think a good question to ask here is who are some of the coaches that have made you the coach you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my high school coach Keith Hansen, St. Peter, Minnesota. I've known him since I was born. Like he was part of the high school program when I was born, and my dad was an assistant coach for a long time with him. And as I came up, he became the head coach when I was a seventh grader. So he was my head coach for 6 years through high school, and then I went off to college, and he hired me back to be an assistant coach. Um, and then full circle, I became a head coach, and he was part of the program still as well. And he actually retired this past year when I left for Luther. We stepped down at the same time. So like he's been not only a mentor for me my whole life, but a very, very close family friend. And he's meant the world to me. He's a great person on and off the mat. So Keith Hansen's been a big one for me. And then my college coach, Sean Ahrar at St. Olaf College, a huge mentor of mine as well. He fled Iran when he was, I think, 16 years old or something like that. Came to the United States, got his citizenship, and he just told me all sorts of stories of hardships, right? He would tell us all the time, like, you think practice is hard, you have no idea what I've been through and that kind of stuff. So he's been a huge mentor of mine as well. I still talk to him quite often as well. And then Dave Mitchell and Jeff O'Gara here at Luther have been fantastic for the 9 months I've been here. They know what they're doing. Like I said, they've both been here for a long time, so they're great role models to follow. They both like to deer hunt as well, so that's been helpful as well. But they're just great people, down to earth people as well. So those four people have meant a lot to me in the wrestling world for sure.
I know we had talked earlier, and at this time, you don't have an assistant. Numbers dictate that, obviously, for schools.
Correct.
But what's something that you would look for in an assistant? Like I know that with me, uh, my assistant coach kind of fills in those gaps that I don't do as well. What's some of the things that you are looking for when it's time for an assistant? What are they going to be really good at?
Yeah, so I would love for someone to take over budgeting. That'd be fantastic for me. I don't mind doing it, but it's a lot of my daily work is, even like this calling hotels, booking hotels, getting things ready for the tournaments, going on the grocery runs, getting the lunches ready for the athletes, that kind of stuff, and then the budgeting. So kind of like the what would you call that? The behind the scenes management type
Yep.
stuff would be excellent. That would be awesome. Um, I love someone I think maybe that has wrestled a little more freestyle than me. I didn't wrestle much freestyle growing up. I was a a three, four, five sport athlete depending on the year. So
Hmm.
I kind of went right from high school wrestling into baseball and then football and cross country and everything else that I did. So not that I'm confident in my freestyle skills, but someone that maybe had a little more background, maybe I don't know, even international or something like that would be helpful. I think I don't think that would hurt anything. And then maybe someone that is a little more maybe close to their age as well, where they can. You don't want to be. I don't know. I don't want to say this the wrong way, but you don't
I
want to be friends with them, right? But you need
uh-huh.
someone that can be a little bit more on an athlete's level, where I have to kind of be the good cop, bad cop kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
right now I'm trying to balance both of those. I have to be kind of that strict, stern, um, tough head coach, but I also need at the same time, if they need a shoulder to cry on or some jokes to be told or something like that, like I got to kind of be both of those right now. And the balance is a little bit tricky. So maybe someone that's a little closer to their age or maybe knows their lingo or their slang or things like that a little bit more because I'm getting up there, right? So
I no,
something
I
like that would be
understand.
ideal.
Yeah, almost having a or maybe a female coach. Not
Yeah,
no,
that wouldn't be bad as well. Yep, that would help.
don't don't we all want to have
It would
you
be
know
fantastic.
I do have a female coach on my staff, mom of one of the daughter or mom
Okay.
of a girl that used to be on the team, and she stuck with it. She got her endorsement, so it's really fun to have her help grow because it's great to have that. But I'm waiting for those girls that I've coached, and actually, it's starting to happen. The very first girl I coached is now a coach at South Central Calhoun, where I first started coaching girls. So
Wow.
it's
That's
it's
awesome.
starting to come back around, but that's I think what we all want as male coaches is we want to have that strong female presence in the corner. Um,
Absolutely.
you said something that a couple things in that. First of all, you have to go out and I went to a very small school too, and I remember our nutrition at the time was here's your ham sandwich or bologna sandwich with a bag of chips and this and that. You said you go out and buy buying meals for the travel and things like that. What are some of the nutrition things that maybe have changed in wrestling? Um, Man, I see so many different things in wrestling than when I was cutting weight and maintaining weight, and I never maintained weight, I cut weight. But these kids are doing it differently now, and they know more about nutrition. What are some of the things that you guys are throwing in those meals for them?
Yeah, so I think first of all, I'm in your same boat. I was probably not real good at cutting weight, especially in high school. I figured it out and I figured out what worked for me in college. And I think that's part of the process with the girls too, is that everyone's a little bit different and their bodies handle things a little bit different. So you have to figure yourself out a little bit on your own as well. But we do talk a lot about hydration, how important that was, and I think that's a big change that probably you and I didn't realize back then. Is
Yep.
oh yeah, I just won't drink anything. I'll stay lighter that way, right? And that's not
Yep.
how your body works. So we talk a lot about hydration and that we need to be hydrating and almost super hydrating during the week. And then, depending on your weight and how close you are and that kind of stuff, we'll start cutting that water out either, you know, 24 hours or 12 hours. And again, we have to manage depending on where you are and what your practice plans are leading up to the tournament and that kind of things too. But we really ultra hydrate a lot until that last couple hours when we might have to cut out just a little bit more, right? On top of that, we try to stick to a high protein, high fiber diet. Um, a lot of complex carbs during the week if we can, which is a little bit unique too, because I didn't
Hmm.
do much complex carbs growing up, but I also felt like garbage in practice all week long. And I didn't know why, right? I just thought it was which how you're supposed to feel where you're cutting weight.
Yeah.
But we want our girls to be as energized as possible, as long as possible, leading up to that meet or that tournament, and even through that meet and tournament. We don't want them worn out once you get there either. So high proteins, like I said, high fiber if possible, complex carbs, and then we talk a lot about meet day too, and we want to wrestle a little bit hungry. After weigh-ins, I know I would go slam a big 32-ounce Gatorade and start stuffing my face with all sorts of just garbage, really,
Yep.
right? But we talk a lot about that approach right after weigh-ins. It's like, here's we're gonna eat some of this. Maybe it's a one piece of bread with some turkey and some honey on it, right? You get some complex carbs in there. You also get some quick, simple carbs with the honey. Maybe some kind of granola bar, and you got to rehydrate right away too, right? So sometimes Gatorade's not the best choice, but sometimes it's one of the things that we have available. Maybe we can cut it with some water, or there's some other options out there too, of course. That we don't want to stuff our bellies full. We don't want this big bowling ball on our stomach when we go wrestle, and that's been a pretty big change, I think, as well. And then we get to make sure we have to get a really good workout in after weigh-in so you can spread that blood flow back out to your body and your muscles and start actually absorbing those nutrients, and they're not just all sitting in your belly as well. It doesn't do any good. So
Yeah. Weigh-ins and nutrition has changed a lot. Yeah.
immensely.
I don't know if you were still in the town. We weighed in the mornings in high school, and
Yeah,
I
I did
actually,
not. I had
yeah,
the 1 hour before the match weigh-ins, and it was always pretty miserable.
yeah, that changes a lot of things. I mean, I know I used to have a 2 liter Mountain Dew and a Snickers bar a lot of times for
Right.
breakfast, which was fantastic and the way to do it, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, no,
exactly.
that's not. And then the other thing you said in that is you don't have a ton. You're confident in your freestyle, but you did not wrestle a ton of freestyle. This
Right.
is something I think that sometimes our athletes get really worried about the transition from folk style to freestyle. I didn't wrestle a ton of freestyle, but I too also feel pretty confident in what I can teach in freestyle. What would you say? I don't know how to, I just want to make sure the kids know, hey, it's okay. Even if you haven't wrestled freestyle,
Yeah.
what, I
Yeah.
guess
I
speak
think
to that just a little bit.
one thing that maybe I could say is like I would much rather recruit a 3 or 4 sport athlete, a well-rounded athlete, than I would someone that's been specialized in wrestling for the last whatever it may be, 8 to 10 years, right? One reason I'd be worried about burnout. So if you've been wrestling that long, not that they all burn out, but there's a little more likelihood that like you're just gonna get sick of wrestling. You're not gonna enjoy it as much, and it's gonna be a job. And if it's gonna be a job, it's you probably I don't know. I don't want the girls that want to have
Yep.
to think it's a job. I have to go to practice every day. I want the girls that want to be at practice every day and they're enjoying it and having fun working and that kind of stuff. So um I love 3 or 4 sport athletes. And in Minnesota, we were 3 sport athletes. In Iowa, you can obviously be a 4 sport athlete. So it depends where you're recruiting a little bit. But I just feel like that makes you a more well-rounded person. In all aspects of life, being able to be flexible and change your mindset and things like that. Um, I don't I'm trying to think. I don't think I really ask girls a whole heck of a lot how much freestyle experience they have because to me it doesn't matter a whole lot. Like I said earlier in the interview, like yeah, I don't have to change things. I don't have to switch things.
Yep.
I maybe don't have to fix those bad habits. And not saying they would all have bad habits, but we all coach a little bit to our strengths. So there might be some things that I would have to change that um I don't know. I don't worry about freestyle. I just really don't. I think we can make that up pretty quickly. And it's not a stressor to me that hey, that I've never wrestled freestyle before. Well, that's okay. I'll take you. Right? That's okay.
Yeah, I had a couple, it's been maybe a month ago, I had this conversation with a few different coaches, and we talked about athletic ceiling and someone that maybe has been, like you said, maybe has dedicated the last 10 years of their life. They've only done wrestling. This is what they planned on doing. I kind of wonder if there isn't an athletic ceiling for people. And I can tell you that wrestling is better than when I would say overall the best wrestlers are better than when I was in high school, in
Sure.
college.
Yep.
But I think it was deeper because I think more people were happy about being a JV wrestler or a JV athlete.
Sure.
And
Yep.
I find that as a coach, people don't want to be that. But when you have done the same sport for 10 years, how much more can you get? How much
Right.
better can you get? And I don't know if
Yep.
that's a thing or not, but I've heard I'm not the only person that's talked about athletic ceiling in people.
Yeah, I
So
think like
what's your thought?
yeah, I think going back to like being from Minnesota, some of those schools that are perennial in the state tournament or winning state, right? I think of like Simile or Castle Manorville or something like that, right? And I'm not saying this about all of them, but like their athletic ceiling, like or those athletes are really, really, really good. They're putting out 4, 5, 6 state champions every year, right? And they're sending wrestlers to the next level. They're sending wrestlers to college to wrestle, but a lot of them don't get a ton better. And I'm not saying they're bad.
Uh-huh.
They've already reached their peak. Or if you go to some small schools and you see, I don't know, some small school, someone finally wins state as a senior. Right? I just feel like they grow so much more in college because they haven't reached their potential yet. And I don't know if there's a right or wrong or one that's going to be better or worse. It's a case by case basis, but I think you're definitely onto something where if you've wrestled for a long time, there's probably not a whole lot more that a college coach can milk out of you, compared to if you got someone that's a little bit more green and hope athletically talented, of course, but a little bit more green. I think you're going to see them grow by leaps and bounds, especially in those first couple of years of college, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I go back to my own experience. I was not that great, so I'm not touting, but I went from being a non-qualifier in high school to a three-time national qualifier in college
There you
because
go.
because I played three sports and I did all the,
Yep.
and then, but I have found college athletes, it's who wants to work hard.
100%.
Yeah,
Yep.
that makes a huge, it's because everybody's talented. Everybody's
Right.
talented.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think part of that too is on going off of that is like who wants to work hard. That's not just the 90 minutes or 2 hours of practice a day. It's who's in the weight room every morning before class, if you have team lifting or not. Who's running the extra miles on the weekends? Who's eating right? Who's getting the proper amount of sleep? All those things that go into it. That's all part of your hard work too. It's not just, oh, I'm at practice, coach is watching. I need to work hard right now.
Yep.
So that's big as well.
Yeah, those that get better when no one's watching. That's
100%. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I anytime I talk to a coach, I got to bring this up because without my wife, I couldn't do half the things I do. Man, she is very. I mean, I'm in season right now, and I've been down in my little basement studio. This is my third. Well, I had a IWCOA meeting for an hour. I had a high school girl that I talked to, and now you, and it's going to be 10 o'clock or later before I go upstairs and see her.
Yeah.
Without wives, I mean, you gotta shout out your wife for me.
Oh yeah, I couldn't do it without my wife. There's no way. First of all, she's been there since day one, supporting me in this journey, and you know, you know as well as anyone, wrestling coaches, it's not a glamorous life. We're not making tons of money, but we're putting in tons of hours, and it's not just the time you're at practice and the time you're at tournaments, which is a lot right there, but it's everything else in between. And now as a college coach, I'm recruiting pretty much every night. Right. On the weekends, I'm always going to tournaments. If we're not wrestling personally, I'm at a high school tournament. And my wife is there almost every single time with me. She goes to all of our tournaments together. She's our camera lady. She's sometimes she's our nutritionist. She's ordering the food for that we can pick up on the way home. She's doing it all. She's awesome. She's a rock star. So I couldn't do it without her. And yeah, definitely deserve to get a shout out for sure. For sure.
Yeah, sounds like she might be your assistant.
She would probably do a good job. She would do a great
There, yeah.
job. She would do the budgeting. She would do, yeah, all the behind the scenes grunt work for sure.
Now, I know I think I remember you saying, does your daughter wrestle for you also?
She does. Yeah, she's a sophomore here at Luther. She transferred in when I got the job. So, yep.
So I asked this also because I've been around a couple coach dads on my team and stuff. What's it like to be able to coach your daughter in, now at this level, the college level, but did you coach her in high school also?
Yeah, yeah. So it's incredible. It's really special, and it's really really cool that I got to coach her in high school and now coach her in college. That's incredible. So, she was well, she's always been around wrestling. So I have a son too, and he's been wrestling his whole life. So she's always been in the gym on the weekends, hanging out on the iPad or whatever the sisters do at the tournaments.
Yeah.
And then she was our stats girl for a long time in high school as well, seventh grade through 10th grade. She was our stats girl. And that 10th grade season, girls wrestling got sanctioned in Minnesota. And then she was up at the state tournament as a stats girl. And she's like, oh, I could beat these girls, Dad. I could beat these girls. I was like, yeah, okay. She was a dancer. She's a cheerleader. Kind of the typical girly girl, if you will, right? And I'm like, yeah, that okay, whatever. Like, keep talking. Didn't really believe her. Well, she wanted to go to camp that summer, so she went to some camps. She showed up to the first day of practice that next winter, and she's been wrestling ever since. So it's been pretty special. Definitely. Maybe she'll be an assistant coach someday. She's going to school to be a teacher, and she wants to coach. So
Nice.
yeah,
Very good. That is
yeah,
awesome. Now something that we've been kind of debating around Iowa, and I know that Minnesota does it. what year can girls start wrestling high school, or what
Yeah.
boys too?
Uh, Seventh grade. They all can start in seventh grade. So we definitely get an influx of transfers in seventh and eighth grade that happen to move back to wherever they came from in ninth grade. It happens quite often, especially on the Minnesota-Iowa border, I've noticed. But it
Hmm.
happens. But yeah, seventh grade.
Seventh
Yep.
grade.
So we
Do you see?
will I think next year, unless something goes drastically wrong, we'll have our first six-time state champ from a female. She's pretty tough. And I've also noticed that because wrestling's grown so much in the past 5 years, or women's wrestling, our seventh and eighth and ninth grader girls are quite tough compared to some of our older high school girls and even some of the college girls.
Oh yeah, I you see it all the time, and
Oh
you
yeah.
see those younger ones coming in, or even you look at number one ranked at 1A, Abigail Peterson,
Yep.
also number one 95 pounder in the country, and
Yep.
she's been wrestling, just she's done everything at her that imaginable at her level, and that's a freshman,
Right.
and
Right.
it's interesting. South Dakota does the same thing with the seventh and eighth graders. Is there any rules to that? The reason I'm asking is that was a heated debate last year, and it got tabled, and I don't think it ever came out of committee because it has to go through the legislature actually in Iowa in order to pass
Interesting.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
it's legislated and stuff. And one of the things was, well, we don't want to see um, eighth grade football players or this and that. I have a cousin that coaches in South Dakota, and he said only varsity athletes can wrestle. If you're a junior high person, you have to be varsity in order to be on the high school team. Otherwise, you wrestle the junior high schedule. Is there any
Okay.
rules in Minnesota similar to that, or what's Minnesota do?
Um, it's changed a little bit. I know it was changing last spring as I was kind of leaving Minnesota, but not really. So my high school was always 7 through 12. We were all the wrestlers are in the same room, 7 through 12. We've grown quite a bit back in St. Peter. Our team has grown quite a bit, I should say, and they're starting to split things up. So we have a middle school practice and a high school practice. But we've always practiced 7 through 12 as long as I can remember. So I don't think there's anything. We've always had middle schoolers on varsity, but then they can go wrestle middle school meets too if they want to, that kind of stuff. But there is another thing in Minnesota. It's called the Minnesota Ninth Grade League Wrestling, and that's seventh, eighth, and ninth graders. And there's some goofy legislation with that where if you wrestle a varsity event, you can't wrestle a ninth grade league event or something. I don't know exactly how it all works, but
Uh,
it gets a little tricky because what was happening is there was varsity, like high level varsity ninth graders going to wrestle this ninth grade league tournament and winning ninth grade state when there's really no need for them to be there.
yeah,
So they're trying to cut down on that. But as far as like if they're at a high level seventh or eighth grader, they've been on varsity forever.
gotcha. Very good.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to change up our interview a little bit, and I'm going to try to have some fun with some things.
All right.
One of the questions, and you said you're getting a little older too. Practice playlist. I know at my age, if I get on there, they call it Grandpa Rock for the first anyway, but I don't get an opportunity very often. Do you get a chance to be on the practice playlist at all?
Yes, yes, I do. A lot of times I'll play it because I can't stand some of the stuff the younger generation plays, and it's not just the girls. A lot of times at Luther right now, our boys and girls are practicing at the same time. We're not necessarily practicing together, but we're all kind of in the same area, practicing at the same
Yep.
time. We've noticed that it's raised the intensity and the height and the maybe the competition level just a little bit because it's hard to practice with seven people in a room. It's pretty
Yep.
quiet. But yeah, I can't stand their stuff, so a lot of times I will play their music or excuse me, play my own music. And my go to right now is divorced dad rock bangers. So
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna write that down.
it's pretty great. It's some Linkin Park, Nickelback, Pearl Jam, some Creed. What else is on there? Buck Cherry. So I enjoy that. I don't know if the girls do or not, but most of the time I'll put that on. Otherwise, Metallica, a lot of 80s and 90s rock, things like that is what I like to play.
Yeah, see, that's what I play, and then when I play it, it's Grandpa Rock. But when it happens to be on their playlist, they'll sing right along to it.
Oh
Haven't
yeah.
figured that out quite yet. We have talked about nutrition and food, but one of the things I like to find out, um, food's important to wrestlers and guilty pleasure food. Man, ice cream is by far the greatest thing ever invented for me. What's your guilty pleasure food?
Ugh, I don't want to be a copycat, but I think ice cream would be pretty high up there as well. Um, I do like what are the purple Doritos? The spicy sweet
Oh,
chili
yeah, yes.
Doritos. I like those as well, but ice cream probably beats that out. Yeah.
So you haven't been in Decorah a ton yet, but what's the place to go out to eat? What's your and your wife's favorite place to go?
Okay, yeah. I like Toppling Goliath. The brewery up on top of the hill up there is really, really cool. They have big deer, big elk. Um, it's a brewery, so they have good beer. Their pizza is really, really good as well. So, my wife is actually working there right now, so I gotta go pick her up here in a little bit, after her shift is done. So,
Very nice. Very nice.
yeah.
Do you have any vacation spots that are kind of bucket list?
Um, my wife loves to travel. I don't necessarily like to travel quite as much. We did go to Mexico. It was my first time out of the country. Went to Mexico for our 10th anniversary this past year. That was cool. It was really cool. I got sunburned pretty bad and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but it was fun. I personally love to go out west. I lived in Montana for a little while. I did a term for AmeriCorps, and I lived in the mountains of Montana, and I loved it out there. So I'd go back to Montana in a heartbeat.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've noticed over the it's about a year and a half that I've been doing this. People are either mountain people or they're beach people.
Yeah,
And it's amazing now that I've kind of opened the question up a little bit more to bucket list type stuff. How many kids actually want to go to Europe and see?
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've noticed
Huh.
that I am a beach person. Stick me on a beach and I'm happy. So
Okay.
I know that right now, especially wrestling season, you're super busy and it's hard to do things, but is there a TV show you're binging right now?
Ooh, we started watching Landman about a week ago, and I think we caught up with all the episodes in like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
We don't sit down and watch a ton of TV just because we're busy, we're running, we're sports and all sorts of other things. But over Christmas break, we did have some time, a few days there, and we watched a ton of Landman. We like the Yellowstone 1923, that whole spinoff too. We enjoy that. Otherwise, sports. We're a big sports family, so we watch a lot of football and anything else on TV.
Yeah. No, I think I did 4 episodes of Landman this afternoon to try to get caught up. So
Yeah, I haven't
one
watched
of my
this week's
favorites.
yet, so
One of my favorites too. I don't know if you'll have anything. They've done a really good job, I think, in this whole thing, but um, someone just appointed you the head of the NCAA rules committee, and you could change anything on the women's side of the sport. What's something you would change?
that's a good question. Could I say go back to folk style just because I enjoy folk style a little bit more?
I think there's
That
a
might be a
lot of
little
people.
selfish, but
I think there's a lot of people that honestly, I'm not, I don't think it's the selfish thing. And I understand why we started freestyle, but I wonder if it'd be easier recruiting to folk style.
that might be. I mean, I don't know. Me, selfishly, I'm a pretty good rider, so I like working on top.
Uh-huh.
And I could get an escape pretty quick. So like I've kind of taken those two parts of my offense out of there a little bit. Not that I'm not good on my feet, and I love throwing people, so that's a lot of
Yeah.
fun too. But I do miss kind of the nuances of getting escapes from the bottom and a little bit of arm bars and halves. Not that you can't use them, but you don't see them quite as much in the
Yeah.
freestyle world. So
Well,
yeah,
there's a question I've asked, and do you think and I watch a lot of, I love freestyle too. I'm not the folk style or a freestyle only person. I love all styles of wrestling, actually.
absolutely.
Um, But when I watch international wrestling, I see the United States, and we've done quite well, and I think there is a misconception on how good we've actually done. I believe the United States has more world and Olympic medals than any other country in the world.
Right.
Maybe not gold, but overall medals. So we've done well. Do you think our folk style is maybe a secret weapon? I've seen our we run some arm bars. We've seen cradles. Didn't David Taylor win like pretty high level? Was it with a cradle? He did a lot
Yeah,
of
I think
cradles,
so.
and I mean, some of those guys have hit. Do you think folk style maybe is our secret weapon?
That's a good point. It's not something I've really thought of before, but like, yeah, yeah, I think so. They don't see arm bars and cradles and hammer locks and all that kind of stuff at the international level, I'm sure. So yeah, maybe you're onto something there.
I think it might be. Well, I just got a couple things left here,
Yeah.
and you're in a college, so I can put you in a quiz, one question quiz, answer, fill in the blank. Wrestling has taught me to.
Wrestling has taught me to never give up on anything, and just always fight towards the finish.
Very good. Now, the next one, and I'm not talking about the organization, don't want to get a lawsuit here going, but it hasn't been that many years ago. Probably within 10 years, wrestle like a girl was a derogatory statement. Obviously, I don't believe that to this day, that wrestle like a girl is something completely different. What do you think wrestle like a girl means now?
Yeah, I think wrestle like a girl means being confident in yourself and not worrying about what other people are saying about you, right? So if you go back to that derogatory a little bit, like yeah, wrestle like a girl means you just kind of be wimpy or soft, and I don't see that in the girls at all. They're tough. They're real tough. They're hard nosed. They're working hard. They're going through a lot of challenges that people I don't think realize they're going through. Both that mental battle and physical battle, and maintaining weight is a whole different story for the girls. So yeah, wrestle like a girl just means you're tough and you're proud of who you are, and you're not worrying about what other people are saying about you.
Very good.
Yeah,
Heard this the other day, and it kind of relates. It's not exactly the same thing, and maybe you can use it in a practice and stuff, but or in a conversation. Someone said, "Girls wrestle to win, boys wrestle not to lose." Girls are out scoring points, and the
yeah,
style of wrestling is crazy. I mean, it's nuts, the amount of activity that happens in a girls match. Stalling is not really the only time I ever see stalling is when someone's out, like the level of those two
yeah,
wrestlers,
yeah,
but
yeah.
otherwise, man, there's just a lot of stuff scored, a lot of points scored.
Yeah. It's crazy that you just said that because my girls have convinced me the last couple of weeks here, like we'll come in on a Monday and they're always, oh, mental Monday, mental Monday. Like out of the blue, they started saying it. So they've been putting me on the spot and making me kind of have a speech. So now I've been prepared the last couple of weeks. And our last
Uh-huh.
talk last Monday was about wrestle to win, not to not get beat. Right. So there's a very
Yep.
different level there, like you just said. Are we wrestling defensive or are we going out there and if you put up 15 points, challenge your opponent to put up 15 too, because that's not going to happen most likely, right? So
Yeah.
we talk about that a lot and opening up and just getting after it. So it's kind of cool that you just brought that up.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
good. I have a lot of those little speeches, and I've been around this sport a long time, so I that's kind of my goal when I'm all done with this is I don't want to stop coaching, but I still want to travel and maybe coach
yeah,
more, coach
yeah.
different than I
There
coach
you
now. I just
go.
don't want to, so I am to my last question for you, but I do want to tell you it's been really fun getting to know you.
Yeah,
Quick phone call is all we've really had, and I really think that Luther hired a good person to
thank
run
you.
that program. I think you're doing a great job, and I look forward to seeing what you do here in the future. And will you be at a regional here shortly?
Yeah, planning on it. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go to yet, but yeah, definitely planning on it. I've already looked at my spring schedule and my calendar. My Saturdays are pretty much booked full, so I'll be traveling quite a bit between Iowa State, Illinois State, Minnesota State, and the whole Midwest. We'll be
Yeah.
busy.
Oh, yeah. So you'll be at you're going to make your first visit to the Iowa State tournament, correct?
I am. Yeah, I
Yep.
think I've been to the Minnesota State tournament for the last. I'm not even kidding. I think I've been there every year since my dad was an assistant coach, so probably since I was like 5 years old. I don't think I've missed one. But I'm really
Nice.
excited to see the Iowa State tournament. I know you talked about it a little bit in our phone
Yeah.
call, and I'm pretty
I'm
excited.
excited for you to see it. Just so I'd like to hear, if you run into me I'll be at the state tournament, but
Yeah,
if you run into me and tell me what your thoughts are on this tournament. I bet,
awesome.
I bet, I bet Aaron and Kylie would be interested to hear your thoughts too, since you've been to others. So, um, my last thing, I always give that person an opportunity to have some final thoughts on, doesn't really matter. I'm going to assume it's on girls and women's wrestling, but it doesn't have to be. Floor is yours.
Put me on the spot. Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to thank you for having me on here. I really, really appreciate it. And we're just looking to grow this Luther program so much. And like you said earlier, it's the first couple of years seem to be so, so tricky. And I'm kind of I don't know how to say this, like not an instant gratitude person because I know it takes the work, but
Uh,
like I like to be able to see the forest through the trees. So it's kind of tricky waiting and building this and growing this. But I just want to say I'm so, so impressed with how quickly women's wrestling has grown. Not just specifically in Iowa, but in the Midwest, for sure. Just like 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't really a thing. It was kind of a bad stigma. It was a couple girls here or there, but it wasn't a lot going on. And then all of a sudden, it became sanctioned here and here and here. And in 5 years, look how far we've came and how much we've done. And I'm really excited for the next 5 years to see where at the level of competition that we're going to see at the college level as well. Like it's a really, really exciting time. It's a stressful time because there's a lot to do. But that's a good thing, right? Pressure's a privilege. We talk about that all the time too. And having that pressure to keep growing and evolving with the sports is somewhere I'm happy right where I'm at and I love it. So I'm excited to see in 5 years down the road what it looks like.
Awesome. Well, very good. Thank you very much for coming on. I'm going to hit that stop button.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet.